From the basement of La Penta, this is WICR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey Joe back in action. And obviously, the other day was the NBA draft's order. We had the ping pong ball drops. And look, a lot of Knicks fans I don't think are very happy right now, and rightfully so. But I think at the end of the day, my big push and my big thoughts on the NBA draft were obviously the headlines are big men. Karl Anthony Towns and Jahlil Okafor, a lot of people consider to be probably the top two picks in this draft. And I just think at the end of the day, in the NBA, the league has changed dramatically. The game does not revolve around big men anymore, guys who play with their backs to the basket. The game doesn't work that way anymore. It's a wing league now. It's a guard league now. And for me, that is why D'Angelo Russell is the most coveted player in this draft, because I think he is the best player in the draft. He is a guard. He could really, I don't know if you could identify him as either a point guard or a shooting guard. I think he really does a lot of both, and he's just incredibly dynamic. He's incredibly versatile. There's so much to like about D'Angelo Russell. And look, if I'm the Timberwolves who got the first pick, obviously I don't take him because he's not a need. I think if I am the Timberwolves, I do need one of those big men. So obviously they either go with Karl Anthony Towns or they go with Jahlil Okafor. Now, if I have the first pick, I heard Flip Saunders talking with Colin Cowherd the other day, and he can't really say who he's going to go with, but I do think that they like both guys, and I don't know if there really is one that they are really in either favor of. If I have the pick, I think I got to go with Okafor just because I think he comes into the NBA and his offense is already there. Clearly, he needs a lot more work on defense. Karl Anthony Towns is kind of the opposite. He comes in as a much better defender than Okafor does, but I think Okafor is already a much more natural scorer than Karl Anthony Towns is. And where they both struggle right now is range. They both don't have they're both very limited range, what they can do away from the basket. And that's the biggest thing for me, why the big men don't impact the game that they used to. I said the other day, you look at guys like Andre Drummond, you look at guys like Al Jefferson, guys like DeMarcus Cousins, put up jaw-dropping numbers, terrific basketball players, but their teams can't sniff the playoffs, and that's because centers, big men don't impact the game a lot. There's enough anymore. You look at teams that are winning NBA titles now, they don't have a dominant, jaw-dropping center. Now, obviously, San Antonio is kind of in a different situation because of the system that they play. Obviously, Tim Duncan is one of the all-time greats, and they have a collective great group. But, I mean, you look at Cleveland. Cleveland reached 4 NBA Finals without a center, essentially. They essentially reached the NBA Finals 4 straight years, and LeBron's about to do it for a 5th, I think, without a center. And that just shows you where this league has gone. All you need to see where the league has changed is to look at all these guards dominating. I mean, you look at Stephen Curry and Harden last night. Dwight Howard, what did he do? He played a good game, but he's not the deciding factor. It's Harden. It's all Harden. It's all Curry. The two of them, the battle that they had going back and forth against each other. The league has changed. You watch the league, and you just don't see that the big men have the impact they once did. And I think if you're Minnesota, you have to go center because when you look at the way their roster is built, they have Wiggins, they have Levine, they have Rubio, they have enough guards. You don't need D'Angelo Russell. You have Pekovic at center or power forward, kind of hybrid right now. You take Okafor or you take Towns. If I had to make the pick, again, I think you take Okafor 1 just because his offense is already there, but I'm not in love with either guy just because the league has changed. It's going to take them a long time to develop what they need to, and they don't impact the game away enough from the basket. Now, the Lakers, I think, are the team who won the draft with the number 2 pick. I really do. I think if you're the Lakers, and I listened to Mitch Kupchak talk the other day, he thinks there's 5 to 7 players who have the potential to be stars in this draft one day. And it's possible. I do think, like I said the other day, I like the top-heavy part of this draft. Not so much the bottom portion, but I definitely like the top half of this draft. And if you're the Lakers right now, I think the pick's easy. I think it's D'Angelo Russell. I really do. I think Kupchak understands. And look, he when I listened to him yesterday, it seems like he still believes that a center is important in the NBA today. Now, I think he still understands the point I made, where you look at what the Heat did without a center, but then you look at what the Spurs still did. A center is still very important, but I don't think it has as much importance. And if you are the Lakers, I just don't think it would make sense. I mean, after you take Julius Randle, I don't think... And now, NBA mock draft on NBA.com has them taking Okafor, but again, it's very early predictions and mock drafts. I think if you're the Lakers, you got to go D'Angelo Russell. You need a guy who's hyper-aggressive, who impacts what the league is today. And especially when you're in the Western Conference and you have more guards than you can count on one finger who make big plays like Curry and Harden. Like we're seeing, there's a reason Curry and Harden are dominating. There's a reason why Russell Westbrook is dominating. I really think D'Angelo Russell has the potential to be a Russell Westbrook-like player. It just all from the way... When you watched him play in the NCAA tournament this year, the first comparison that the guy reminds you of is Russell Westbrook, because of how hyper-aggressive he is, because of how relentless he is on both ends of the floor. There's a lot to like about D'Angelo Russell. From an offensive standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, from getting his teammates involved, there is a lot to like about D'Angelo Russell. He's a fantastic player. If I'm Mitch Kupchak, and Colin Cowherd did ask him, do you have final say on the pick? He does. If I'm Mitch, I think it's an easy pick. You go with D'Angelo Russell. It's hard. I understand why it would be difficult to pass up on Okafor or Towns if they fall to you, but I just think look at where the NBA is right now. All you need to do is look at Al Jefferson, look at DeMarcus Cousins, look at Andre Drummond, look at all these centers who just don't even whiff the playoffs. There's a reason. The league has changed. It's a D'Angelo Russell type league now, not a Julio Okafor or a Karl Anthony Towns. Then you go to the Philadelphia 76ers, and look, I don't know what the heck the Sixers do. I don't really care what the Sixers do right now. I mean, they're finally going to have to draft a player, most likely, that's not going to be injured and won't be able to play. I mean, with Embiid and with Noel, I don't know what they do, because this team is still so far away from even sniffing. Even being relevant at 500 is so far away from this team right now that you just don't even know. And I think it's so difficult to decide what they want to do, because no matter what player they take here, they're in no position to compete for so long. I think it's almost impossible to pick what they do here. I mean, D'Angelo Russell really is the kind of piece that kind of will impact the way the rest of the draft falls. Obviously, Minnesota's taking one of the two big men. It's either going to be Towns or Okafor off the board with one, and then the Lakers are kind of the one, they decide what happens next. Do you go with D'Angelo Russell, who some people like Jay Billis agree is the best pure basketball player in this draft, or do you go with Julio Okafor or Karl or the big man? And I don't know what the Lakers do. If I am the Lakers, I think you got to go D'Angelo Russell. But again, I understand the temptation if Okafor or Towns is there. I think it's more likely Towns. And for me, if it's Towns over who's there and Okafor's gone, that makes my decision the easiest decision I have to make of the night. It's D'Angelo Russell over Towns. There's no question about it. I think Okafor just has so much more upside. Towns is very good as well, but I think there is a considerable drop-off between the two of them. The Sixers, really, it's not even worth it, but the Knicks. What do the Knicks do? Obviously, a lot of projections are going to have them taking Emmanuel Mudiay, the kid who played in China, point guard, and he is the one. His story is kind of weird. I mean, coming over from the Congo, living in Texas, planning to go to SMU, and then he signed and he played in China instead of going into the NCAA, and it's really tough because obviously, we've watched so much of all the other guys. We have a good feel for all the other guys. Mudiay is kind of the outlier, kind of like Dante Exum in last year's draft, which I think Colin Cowherd hit the nail on the head when he said that. I mean, it's difficult when there's guys like this who are playing overseas, who aren't playing in competition that you're able to watch all during the year. It's difficult to understand these types of guys, especially when the film is just not there. And I think it's difficult to really assess and evaluate how strong these guys are. Now, the Knicks have a lot of room here with what they can do. I think obviously there's going to be a lot of rumors of trading potentially. I think that's always going to be a big factor. They do have a good trade chip here, but they really, the Knicks, this 4 pick, I just feel like doesn't do them justice for what they need. I mean, this isn't going to help them out tremendously. I don't know. Moutier is difficult. I mean, I don't know enough about the guy. There's just not as much information on Moutier as there is with the others. I think we have a much better understanding of the other guys and what their impact can be, how long it's going to take them before they can be meaningful NBA players. Moutier, I just think there's so many question marks there, and I always worry with a guy like that, especially when you're the Knicks and there are clear, definable holes everywhere that you need to fill. I don't know, it's difficult. I thought the Knicks could have been okay even if they got that 3 pick because, again, if a D'Angelo Russell did fall to them, well, wow, you did pretty well. But at 4, man, I mean, you think Towns will be gone. Obviously, I think the top 3 is going to be Russell. It doesn't matter what order. The top 3 players are Russell, Towns, and Okafor. They will all be gone with the first 3 picks. And after that, man, it is a drop-off. I mean, I like guys like Justice Winslow. I like guys like Willie Cauley-Stein. But Moutier is so tough to project what he's going to be. What do the Knicks do? I don't think there is one clear, identifiable thing that the Knicks can do. I think if they go and they take Moutier, can you live with it? Probably. But at the same time, would it be in their best interest to trade this pick? Because, again, I think you got to ask yourself, how valuable is this number 4 pick with Okafor gone, with Towns gone, with D'Angelo Russell gone? I think it might be in your best interest to trade it because, again, kind of like the Sixers, not as much, but you are still quite a far bit off from being relevant and being able to compete for anything really relevant again. And I don't think that right now that one player like a Moutier would change all that much. Would it be in your best interest to trade it? It really might be, but at the same time, it's a tough spot. I really feel for the Knicks fans because there is such a passionate fan base there, and I know a lot of even close personal friends of mine. I don't know how they stick by the franchise right now with the way that things go for them, and it shows real commitment and real passion. But right now, they definitely did not get the spot that they needed to. But I mean, going after 4, I don't even really think it's worth breaking down that much. I mean, the Magic at 5, the Kings at 6, you look at the Nuggets at 7, the Pistons at 8, the Hornets at 9, and the Heat at 10. I mean, it's difficult. There is good players in this draft, like a Tyus Jones. But, I mean, there's just so many teams like the Kings who are just, when are we going to stop seeing teams like the Kings there and things like that? I mean, it's difficult, and it kind of goes back to my point. The Kings have a guy who's a double-double machine, a guy who puts up jaw-dropping numbers into DeMarcus Cousins, who dramatically impacts the game, but they can't whiff the playoffs. And I think if there has to be one point made about where the NBA is going and where it is right now, it's that big men don't impact the game. The game is impacted by, you look at it, it's Russell Westbrook's, it's LeBron James, it's Stephen Curry's, it's James Harden's. It's guys who can elevate their teammates, guys who can make plays with the ball, guys who can shoot from all over the place. That is what the NBA is today. It's not guys with their backs to the baskets anymore, and that's why I think, and I keep on reiterating, D'Angelo Russell is the best player in the NBA draft. And I think even if you did draft a guy like a Moutier, I think that is also why. I mean, his play style is what the NBA needs today, and that is what the league has become. It's what's increasingly gotten away from is the old centers, and I think that is what the league is now. And if you have a D'Angelo Russell, you are embracing the future. And I think, look, You can't knock a team like the Timberwolves because at the end of the day, you got to go with need over best player available. And certainly I think D'Angelo Russell on my board is best player available. But in terms of fit and need, it's Jahlil Okafor. So the Timberwolves, I think they go Jahlil Okafor. I think the Lakers, they go to D'Angelo Russell. I think that number 3, most likely. I mean, and that's a tough part for the Sixers as well, is because the Sixers don't have a fit for Towns right now, which might be the reason that they try to take him, or maybe even trade something to give somebody else to let them have him, because you have Embiid, you have Noel. If Towns falls to you, which he most likely does, what do you do? And I think that is the question right now for the Sixers. There are so many questions for the Sixers because it's a mess right now. The Philadelphia 76ers are a mess. I mean, that whole... you can't even find words to fully describe what's going on with the 76ers, because the plan was to tank, and that tank plan hasn't gotten them to, I think, where they wanted to be. I think Wiggins was obviously the plan that they all wanted, and Wiggins obviously didn't fall to them. They take Embiid, and I don't know. I wouldn't want to be a Philadelphia 76ers fan. I don't know how Sixers fans do. I mean, look, it's nice because you get to see a lot of basketball for cheap prices, because you can't charge to watch that Sixers team. I mean, man, that would be highway robbery. It is difficult though right now. There's a lot of questions, but I think I don't think that there's going to be a lot of surprises with the first 5 picks in the NBA draft. Aside from the 76ers, which are the one hard one to pick, and they're kind of different because of their whole situation, I think it's pretty sound. It's Okafor, it's Russell. Who knows with the Sixers? And depending on what the Sixers do, I think the Knicks either go with Moutier, or who knows what the Sixers. If the Sixers pass on Towns, maybe the Knicks decide to go with Towns, because that is a need. That is a player who would be nice to fall to them. And I certainly think there's more to... I mean, it's tough. Again, man, there's a lot of tough decisions here, folks. I mean, it's tough because I think Towns you know more about, and you know what he can be. And Moutier certainly has more question marks, but Moutier fits more of what the NBA is today. And Towns, I think, is more of what it has gotten away from. There are a lot of question marks. I will sit here and think about all those question marks. Everyone, don't go anywhere. I will be right back.